can't find. If I found you not to attend cabinet 3 times without reason, you are out of government. You must tell our women in Uganda to work very hard. You must not make the women of Uganda very weak. They must get up quickly in the morning at about 5 o'clock. They are ready in Nakasero, preparing, ready to sell vegetable and everything in the shop. The duty of the woman is the housewoman. He knows how to keep house very well. If he can do that, let me make first examination, appoint women to be the managers of hotel. If he's well educated, he has got that brain, he's determined, he can look after the hotel very well. I want to see a woman, international hotel, very big one. Must be woman Ugandans, and I know they can do it. And you as a minister, you must back them completely. If you find any man trying to not to obey the order and everything, you can punish that person. We are the first now country in Africa today who have got many women managers than other countries. We have got how many manager women? We have got 4 managers and we have got another 2 assistant managers. But I wanted to tell the boxers that the only chance to defeat the referee who are against you or against the country is to win by knockout.
Abayindi bebakulembesa okusoma akubba mu by'omubuzaale mu ebyo byakubuza faagadduka bufiizi ezikazirema naddala abalimi abasiiba mu nnimiro nga b'obasoma ng'abawangula diguli ku musingi bakitaabwe gwe banyaga emyaka 7 bujja batunyonyonta tewali muyinja saawa muntu ku nguudo tewali muyinja kola bwa goli manju boyi yongeza pipiri na maji ng'omanya nti mottoka kuyayitibwa bange njagala okumanya boba naffe bafuuma nsiiti nanti kipawuda wabula ejjoogo nedda ejjoogo libayinze nnyo obunyonyonsi n'enguzi bwe beesigamye Amin abirabye n'abisimbira ekkuuli agamaduuka kaakatyaka bajjeeko era n'obusuubuzi nabwo butuddiza bajja kukola leebeeyo bagimala bagende naffe bibuga byebakemu seba niiniibwe bali kulwana nnyo dada niiniibwe bali okiyambye nnyo kino ky'okoze tekikoba kutiitiizi bannayuganda musituke mukwatireko.
Nshuti za BCBC bahire cyubahiro semi, ubu dukomeje ibiganiro ruvantima ku itariki ya 9 z'ukwezi kwa 4 umwaka w'ibihumbi 2023 tugiye kurebera hamwe imyaka igera hafi kuri 44 ubutegetsi bwa Perezida Idd Amin Daddah wa Uganda buvuyeho, kandi turaburebera mu ndorerwamo z'umusirikare uruyoboye ingabo zirwanira mu kirere cya Uganda, General Zed Maruru, atubwira uko ubuzima bwe bwa gisirikare bwagenze n'imibanire yagiranye na Perezida Idd Amin Daddah, cyane cyane mu rugendo bagiriye mu mwaka w'1973 mu bihugu by'Abarabu, aho bari bahanganye n'igihugu cya Israel. Amin rero akaba aravugaga yuko we ari ku ruhande rw'Abarabu. Reka tubatege amatwi mu kiganiro yagiranye na Andrew Mwenda Live.
This 9th day of April 2003, and this is a special thing. It is exactly 24 years ago when Idd Amin was 2 days away from collapsing in Uganda. And in memory of that great day when Idd Amin fell on the 11th of April 1979, we have invited a very special guest, Major General Zed Maruru. Major General, you are welcome to Anduman Live.
Thank you very much. Good evening, listeners.
Major General Zed Maruru, I will just go through his long and checkered history. Joined the army in 1964 as a cadet officer, became a pilot after training in Czechoslovakia in 1965. In 1967, returned to Uganda, became a second flight lieutenant. 1968, he became a full lieutenant. 1970, he went to Air Force Staff College in the United Kingdom, returned in 1971, and was promoted to major. December 1971, he was posted to Air Force headquarters, where he became Quartermaster General. In 1973, he was promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. 1974, he was promoted to Colonel. 1975, he was sent on forced leave. 1978, he went to exile. 1979, he participated in the liberation struggle. 1980, he became secretary. He was actually 1979, he attended the Marshal Conference and was appointed to the Military Commission. May 1980, he became secretary of the Military Commission, where President Museveni was the vice chairman and Paulo Mwanga was the chairman. Effectively, Zed, you were actually the prime minister in the order of protocol, given that position.
I don't know about that.
1981, he became brigade commander, Northern Region. At that time, there were no divisions. 1982, he became brigade commander, Western Region. 1985, he became Army Chief of Staff under the Lutwa government. And when President Museveni came, it is Lutwa promoted to Major General, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
And when President Museveni came, what role did you have before you retired? He retired in 1993.
Yeah, when from 86,
93.
Yeah, I was appointed presidential advisor on Air Force.
And I'm sure you never met the president to advise him on the Air Force.
There might not have been so much to advise him on because there wasn't an Air Force to speak of.
Well, and our discussion this evening is going to be historical. We want to walk through this journey. So, Major General Zed Maruru, you are there in the UK, Amin takes over, and you have to return in 1971. So when you return, how do you come and fit in this new situation? There is a new government from the government that sent you. There is Amin. How do you fit in?
Yeah. Well, it took a little bit of time. The coup was in January 1971. And the course didn't end until October 71. So 9 months, if you like, is a long time. So things had cooled down. In the meantime, Amin had visited Britain. And he had even visited us at the college, where I had colleagues. Late Colonel Ruhinda was at the Army Staff College. Major Yokoko was at the Army Staff College. I was the only one at the Air Force Staff College. But they called us to Sandhurst. Sandhurst is a military academy which is next door to the Army Staff College in Camberley. Oh, I hope it's still there. And we met him. So he had promised us, nothing is wrong, finish your course, and come home.
So when you arrived, where do you go?
When we arrived...
Specifically you as Zed Maruru.
When I arrived from the Staff College, I was posted to the Air Force headquarters as Quartermaster General. Quartermaster General, in this case, maybe as of now, we use logistics. I was sort of Chief of Logistics. Chief of Logistics and Engineering in the Air Force. They had established an Air Force headquarters within...
But isn't there any discrimination? Because the Armenian government is considered to have favored Muslims and people from West Nile. You are Minyakwari from Tungamo.
Yes.
Did that impact on your fortunes?
I wouldn't think so. Because I came back, I have a feeling I must have done my course well. My course report came, and they appointed me to that position. Two, the then Air Force commander was late Godwinson Toko. He had been my colleague for so long. So I don't think I had any problem with him. And if you think he was favoring Muslims or...
He was a Christian.
Toko was a Christian. But if Amin was favoring a particular religion, either he didn't know my religion, or I just qualified to do that job.
Now, Zed, let me ask you another thing. So, 1971, you arrive, you are there at Kota Masajino. 1973, you're promoted to Lieutenant Colonel. And this is the time of the Arab-Israeli war. How do you get to be promoted? And Amin pretended to be involved in that war. Was he really involved? Did he go to the Middle East and fight?
Amin...
He claims to have even had the breakfast in the Iraqi tanks in the Suez Canal.
I didn't attend that breakfast. But in 1973, Amin declared his support for the Arab-Israeli war. Now, to prove that he was supporting them, he organized a delegation from here to go and visit Arab countries. He selected some officers, some of course declined, some agreed to go with him.
And among them was yourself?
Among them was myself.
Where did you go?
We flew from Entebbe to Jeddah. Then they told us King Faisal was in Riyadh. We went to Riyadh.
You didn't have an appointment with him?
Well, I think Amin had an appointment with him.
But why would you arrive in Jeddah and then they tell you have to go to Riyadh?
Well, we had headed for Jeddah and he told us no, he's in Riyadh. If you can remember, this war was during the month of Ramadan.
Yes, I know.
So we went
It began on October 6th.
Yeah, we went to Riyadh. We met King Faisal almost immediately. Then I don't know what they discussed after that.
You never attended the meeting of Idd Amin? And yes.
There were just two of them. Then they told us we are leaving for Baghdad. Now the aircraft we had used from Entebbe had been sent by Colonel Gaddafi to give us a lift. But the way we ended up, we found the pilots, the crew of that aircraft, were British, but actually they were Jews, British Jews, if you like. Now, they refused to fly from Riyadh to Baghdad. They suggested another route over the Red Sea, the Mediterranean, and then over Syria to Baghdad. I personally, as a military man, I think, and a pilot at that, I didn't like the other route. If you fear the direct route from Riyadh to Baghdad, how do you fly even nearer Tel Aviv and Haifa and the rest of it? So when I told Amin, I said, I am not too happy with this route. And I understand these pilots are actually Jews, although they carry British passports. I would prefer not to go with them at all. So he dismissed them. Said, you can take your aircraft back.
To Tripoli?
To Tripoli.
Was that easy for you to approach Amin and say, this is my advice, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think this fellow had a sense of how to live. If it concerns his life, he will listen.
Okay. So how do you get there for Baghdad now, that the plane has been sent away?
Now, King Faisal gave us an aircraft, took us to the north of the country, of his country, Saudi Arabia. Now, that was the limit of flights, because all the other...
Because the Yakpuma War, what do they call it?
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur War.
Yes.
Was still going on at this time.
Yes. So, beyond that airbase, you couldn't fly towards Baghdad, because Israeli Air Force could mistake you for a fighter plane or anything and shoot you down. So we traveled by road from Saudi Arabia via Amman in Jordan. We reached in Jordan around 2 in the morning. All the journalists who were covering the war were in Amman, actually. When they saw Amin, they tried to follow us. We jumped into the...
Amin loved to give interviews. Did he stop and you
No,
I'm in full control.
We jumped into a lift, and they had booked us a whole floor in the Continental. When we reached the middle, Amin said to stop the lift. We stopped and went back to the lobby and got into vehicles and left. We never met any journalists in Amman. So we
So
have...
you never even slept in the hotel?
No, we left and drove.
You didn't meet King Hussein at that time?
No, we didn't. Because he was not on the itinerary, really. Because he was going to Baghdad.
Okay, now, before we go to Baghdad, let me just ask you another thing. You know, Al-Mazrui, in his book, Soldiers and Kinsmen in Uganda, The Making of Military Ethnocracy, says that Idi Amin used to behave like a peasant, with the casualness of a peasant knocking on a neighbor's door each time he was going to meet heads of state. He wouldn't even make an appointment. And he says, to quote him verbatim, that Amin brought to refined diplomatic banquet of the middle and upper classes of the 20th century the rustic embarrassment of inadequate inhibition. Quite complicated but flowery language that Mazrui uses. Couldn't it be possible that Amin would not even have appointments with all these people? He would just go there, arrive and say, here I am?
I think he could. It's possible that he would inform them when he's already on the way. I'm not too sure we had an embassy in Riyadh at that time. But I don't know how he did it. But he had a way of communicating with whoever he wanted.
So you now moved to Baghdad?
We got into Baghdad at 6 in the morning. We had traveled all night by road.
How large was the convoy?
20, 30 vehicles.
Who were these people escorting Idi Amin?
Military men.
At night there was a war. Would you go with the lights on?
No, we are driving on dim lights. Parking lights, actually. Because any main lights would attract Israeli Air Force. So we...
And the Israelis were controlling the skies at that time?
Oh, yes.
Over the Arab world.
Oh, yes. Now,
let's come to this. At that time, Saddam Hussein was the vice president, but a kind of vice president like Kagame was effectively the man in charge. And I'm reliably informed he was a close friend of Idi Amin. By Brigadier Al-Kiza, by the way.
Well, I don't know. You made a comparison with Kagame or something, but he was a very powerful man in Iraq, Saddam. And he's the man we made. This is the head of state from Uganda, although Uganda is small. But he was made by Saddam. He gave us a big dinner in spite of the war. And they had some talk, but some of the talk was private. So we were there, we had a nap because we needed it. The whole night we had been traveling. And then Amin expressed a wish to get into Damascus, Syria. So Saddam provided us transport, again by road, to Damascus.
So you have been in the presence of Saddam. You know that his regime is crumbling right now as we talk.
No, I've been watching the TV.
Yes. What were the impressions of Saddam when you met him?
He looked an Arab general. And, you know, at that time, whichever...
What do you mean an Arab general?
An Arab general is a general who, whichever general wakes up first thing in the morning, takes over. If tomorrow the other general wakes up earlier, he takes over also. That's what I mean by...
93.3 FM, the voice you're hearing is that of Colonel Zed Maruru, former Chief of Staff under the Lutwa government, former advisor to President Museveni on the Air Force, and of course, he was Quartermaster General for the Air Force during Amin's time, and he was Secretary to the Military Commission in 1980 when President Museveni was its Vice Chairman and Paulo Mwanga its Chairman. We will be right back after the ad break. Welcome back to this edition of Andrew Mwenda Live on 93.3 Mount FM. We are having a historic show commemorating 24 years of the fall of Idi Amin. And with us in the studio, Major General Zed Maruru, former Secretary to the Military Commission, former Army Chief of Staff, and former Presidential Advisor on the Air Force. And now we are walking through that history, the history of his military experience from 1964 when he joined the Army as a cadet officer up to 1983 when he retired at the rank of Major General. First of all, You almost survived all these governments. How was it possible for you to be the Obote One army, Amin army, the UNLF army? You don't seem to have suffered a lot. How did you ensure that all these dangers that military officers in Africa face due to changes of government did not directly harm your life, that you remained alive?
Suffering, I think, is relative. You may suffer a lot, you may suffer little, but I remained alive, yes.
And you were never arrested?
I'm proud to say I've never served a jail term in my service. Not even
and
for
all
a
the
simple...
government did was possible to put you in what we call katebe.
What you call katebe? Yeah, between 83 and 85 years.
And also between 1975 to 1978.
75, 78, I wouldn't call it a katebe, it was a sort of forced leave. Said, go and leave.
And then escape, but you were again on katebe in 1986 to 93. What were you really doing? You had a job, yes, but there was no work for you to do.
Yeah, it depends. Somebody who gives you a job, if it doesn't give you the schedule of work, you find it difficult to work. What do you do?
So, almost you're on katebe. And yet, Museveni talks a lot about how the government said, rained you, and when he came, I mean, he just did nothing. Anyway, I don't want to comment on that because for other reasons. But now let's come back to Idd Amin. 1974. There is, we have finished with the, first of all, so does Idd Amin fight at all during this time when he went to Baghdad, Tripoli, Riyadh, and Damascus?
No, he was fight. How? He was dressed in office uniform or office fatigues. How could he fight? But then, as a head of state, really, if somebody visits you during the war, you could as well say he fought on your side, but definitely he didn't physically fight anywhere.
So when you reach Damascus, do you meet President Assad?
No, we didn't. We had very short time in Damascus because the war on Golan Heights was at its peak. We could even watch...
But it was a good guess that Amin would appear in Damascus, because if you stand on the Golan Heights, you just overlook Damascus the other side.
You do indeed. Definitely his face was all over Arab television sets, and it showed them solidarity with.
Is there any other president who went there during the height of the war?
Nobody could. I even imagine only Amin could dare do that. I don't know of any who went, at least not to Baghdad and Damascus after that.
So from Damascus, where do you go?
We drove back to Saudi Arabia. Now, we again were picked by Saudi Airlines plane into Riyadh, where King Faisal gave us his personal jet and brought us back to Kampala.
You didn't go back to Tripoli?
No, we had dismissed those pilots. They went back to Tripoli. The aircraft went.
1974, there is an attempted coup against the government of Idd Amin by Brigadier Charles Arube. Where were you?
Very interesting. I again was in Baghdad.
This time to do what?
I had gone on a military delegation with a colleague of mine. Unfortunately, I think he's dead, Gordon Sule. We were looking for training places for our soldiers. And since I was connected with the training, I had gone on that delegation with that man. Now, we did acquire places for trainees. Actually, we acquired training for the then Marines.
You had a Marine force?
Yes, Amin had a Marine force. And they were trained in Iraq.
Did you meet Saddam this time?
No, we didn't. We were dealing with the technocrats at the army headquarters.
So when you returned from there, after...
Now, when we were in Baghdad, Sule tells me, I've just talked to Idd Amin. He says there was an attempted coup by Arube, and Arube is dead. I said, now what do? We are out here. There is a coup at home. What do? He said, it was an attempted coup. He has assured me there is nothing. Everything is calm. We go back. So we actually this time flew through London and came here. And things were still going on.
1975, Amin puts you on forced leave. Why?
There was a simple problem. He had invited some Palestinian pilots. He had promised to train them. Since we had a training school in Guru, he brought some 5 of them.
How many planes did Uganda have?
At that time, we had, in Guru, there were 2 squadrons. There were MiG 15, 17, and a training aircraft F-29. Then in Entebbe, they had Fuga Majestas. It was also a trainer, French-made. Total, you could put it about 40 aircraft.
Today we have, I think, 2 or 3.
I don't know, I'm not there. You tell me, maybe you know. How many are they?
They are on about 4 planes.
Okay, I
You
need
can
one.
imagine, and I mean would buy them brand new.
Yes, those that I know at that time were brand new.
Now, so you return and how do you find the post-attempted coup settlement? You find everything all right?
Everything had quietened down. Of course, one officer would disappear over the weekend and 2 disappear the following weekend, but life would continue.
But, sorry, I was making a mistake. We had said, so these Palestinians come here for training, you have 40 planes, so how does this lead to your being forced to leave?
They were specifically attached to a squadron, the MiG-17 squadron. Now, I was in charge of discipline at the Army headquarters, Air Force headquarters, really. Now, they had been...
And you were effectively the Deputy Air Force Commander?
So to speak,
And
yes.
your commander was Brigadier Smatsu Gwedeko?
That's true. Now, when they had been dismissed from both Libya and Algeria, those Palestinians. Now, Amin said, you give them to me, I'll train them. But they had been dismissed from those 2 countries because of indiscipline. Now, when they got here, the instructors would give them instructions. Now you are going to do this exercise 4,000 meters above the ground. You will do this, and the other one. And they would go and do something else. In fact, at the end of the day, we lost 1 plane and 1 pilot. He crashed because of indiscipline. He was supposed to fly at 4,000 meters.
You were forced to leave then?
Now, when we told them not to be indisciplined, and they continued, the base in Guru asked me at the headquarters. They had grounded them. Grounding is stop them flying until they change their attitude. Now, this was misunderstood. The report that got to Amin was we were anti-Palestinians because they were Muslims. So
and you were a Christian?
I am a Christian. I still practice Christianity. And I don't think I did that out of my religion. It was for the safety of the pilot, for the safety of the plane, and for the discipline of the force.
Where were you when the 1976 Israel attack took place on you in Entebbe?
I was at home. I was on that first leave. I was in Intungam.
So you had no role in that?
No, I couldn't have.
So you, in 1977, Smatsu Gwedeko is killed. Later the same year, Luhumu is killed. And what do you do as a result of this? You ran to exile.
Yeah, I think all along I had thought I was just naive, really. I was pushing my luck too far. So after those 2 incidents, I said enough is enough, and I took off. Ended up in Nairobi.
How long do you stay in Nairobi? Because eventually you have to find your way. How do you get to Tanzania to join the liberation war against Idi Amin?
No, I found my way to Nairobi and stayed for about 1 year. Meanwhile, we were making contacts with the Arusha, with Dar es Salaam, with several other people. And eventually I was smuggled into Arusha, and there we were. We made arrangements with the necessary security agencies through our own contacts.
93.3 Monte FM. This program is brought to you by Current Bank, and we want to thank Ban Cafe, who gives us wonderful coffee.